Hello Legends. Aircraft carriers are coming to Legends as a part of special test event. A branch of British heavy cruisers is arriving in early access. A new game mode, Arena, is shaking up the battlefield, and our latest campaign features the Fabled Dragon Slayer, realized in steel, Tier 7 German battlecruiser Siegfried. Add to that Lunar New Year content and some balance tweaks, and this update is bound to make for an exciting start to 2021. Please note, while this update runs for 5 weeks, the next one will be released on Tuesday, March 9th, instead of the usual Monday. Airstrike event. At long last, aircraft carriers are storming into Legends, albeit in a form of a test event. We're starting with Tier 3 and 5 ships separated into their own mode for the first 2 weeks of the update Feb 1st through the 15th. You'll be able to try out Japanese carriers Hosho and Ryujo, as well as their American counterparts, Langley and Ranger. To command the new ships you'll get the help of Ernest King for the US flat tops and Taman Yamaguchi for the Japanese machines. To get yourself behind the helm of one of the carriers you'll first have to win a couple of battles in this mode playing a non-carrier. We understand that most of you will be interested in playing carriers rather than against them, therefore the Airstrike mode has bots added to fill the battles, considering that only one carrier per side is allowed. Another important point is that we'll allow our volunteers and a few randomly selected players to get carriers right away, ostensibly just 2 battles before everyone else, to collect more data. We understand that they will have a bit more experience with the ship type at the moment of release, but that curve will flatten within the first week. We hope that you'll get enough of a first look to give us ample feedback. We plan to bring carriers into the game as a mainstay several updates after this event. Some important info about carriers in their current form: you can only control one entity on the screen at a time, so once your squadron is in the air, you lose control of the carrier. You have access to 2 types of squadrons, torpedo and dive bombers. The first type launches torpedoes that deal damage and may cause flooding. The second type dives to drop HE bombs that can start fires or incapacitate modules, as well as deal damage. The AA suites of other ship types have received no changes, and for the purpose of this test, we're not enabling the display of AA stats yet either. Considering the limited power of carriers in their current form, as well as the limitation of 1 per team, we're expecting that the current AA suites will be sufficient, even without consumables and or rebalancing. Don't forget that it is indeed a test event, so we need to collect as much data as we can. The AA guns of other ship types begin to fire as soon as an enemy aircraft is within proximity, and they do not affect the firing ship's detectability. However, the enemy will see where the AA fire is originating from. Catapult fighters for all cruisers and battleships have been changed to make them less of a passive spotting satellite and more of a countermeasure against carrier attacks. For most cruisers, the cooldown for Catapult fighter has been reduced from 180 to 80 seconds, while the time the plane stays in the air has been reduced from 360 to 60 seconds. For battleships, the cooldown has been reduced from 180 to 80 seconds. There are no servicing costs for carriers in the Airstrike mode. Other ship types retain regular ship servicing costs. Once the Airstrike mode concludes, on February 15th, the aircraft carriers and commanders will be removed from your accounts. Any experience accrued on the carriers will be transferred to Tier 1 ships of the appropriate nations. Control-wise, hitting enemy ships with your torpedoes and bombs is going to be the most difficult aspect of the gameplay, so don't be hard on yourself if you miss the first few drops. Just as shells require a lead, planes require one too, and you need to get an understanding of your window of opportunity whenever launching an attack. You'll be able to use ships of up to Tier 6 when playing against the carriers, and you'll want to play the regular ships as there are several sets of available missions. The first batch will be available during week 1 of the update, encompassing getting your first carriers, new dimensions, carrier mastery, born to fly, and prowess in battling against them, born to swim. Week 2 will offer similarly titled missions for Tier 4 to 6 ships. The missions are chained, and Born to Fly can be quite specific with its requirements, so make sure you familiarize yourself with them. British heavy cruisers. An entirely new line of ships is entering our waters in early access. There are quite a few differences that these ships possess in comparison with their lighter counterparts. First, they have access to HE shells, and while the ballistic trajectories may be comparatively arsed, the per salvo damage is quite significant, no matter what shell type you use. They are also relatively well armored and have an improved repair party consumable that restores significantly more citadel damage than it does for other nations. Additionally, these cruisers have access to sonar, plus their torpedoes can be launched individually, further improving your tactical freedom. Something, of course, has to give, and that something is speed and maneuverability. You'll have to play chess a lot of the time and try to predict your opponent's movements. To gain early access to either of the ships, open the British cruiser crates that are available in the campaign and in the store. As usual, the higher the ship tier, the lower the chances of getting her, and big crates offer better chances for all ships. While there's no Tier 7 Albemarle available through early access, Tier 5 Premium Ship London is among the ships that may drop as a reward. Among the goods that can drop from the containers is also the Union Jack expendable camo, which you can convert into the permanent version for any of your ships, including non-British ships. The available ships are Tier 4 Hawkins, Tier 5 Devonshire, Tier 6 Surrey, and the Tier 7 Albemarle will become available with the next update, once the ships become researchable. The Dragon Slayer campaign. German battlecruiser Siegfried is the centerpiece of our new campaign. She's capable in a multitude of situations, thanks to her powerful guns with strong AP rounds, as well as her torpedoes and sonar. The ship has found her home at Tier 7 among the top competition, and she's ready to take on all comers. Much like the previous campaign, we're introducing a currency that you'll be able to earn once you're done with the main campaign. From this update onwards, it's Steel Badges, or simply, Steel. You'll be able to earn it after reaching the final milestone of the campaign, no matter whether you have the Admiralty backing or not. However, if you purchase the campaign prior to the last week, you'll be able to get more steel from daily and weekly missions. Steel will become an increasingly useful resource as we add ships and other rewards available in exchange for it. The most exciting offer right away is probably going to be USS Missouri, but it will take seasoned captains several updates to gather enough steel to obtain her. This campaign in particular will allow you to amass as much as 1,250 units of steel, provided that you buy it outright on day 1. Otherwise, if you finish it on the first day of week 5, you'll be able to up your steel count by 250. Other than Missouri, you'll be able to obtain various goods in exchange for steel, starting with commander items. More steel is always going to be available from either arena or ranked modes than from campaigns. The campaign rewards include the usual array of goods, currencies, XP, commander items, and so forth, but importantly, there are also several Royal Navy cruisers crates that might just contain one of the newcomers. All of the available rewards can be seen on screen. Arena mode. And now for something mostly different. We're introducing a new game mode. Arena is a seasonal team deathmatch event that features 4 teams of 3 ships. You'll get the chance to show off your skills playing Tier V ships and make a name for yourself across the entire Legends community by climbing the ladder. The first iteration of ladder is going to count all of your ship XP, with all possible boosters applied, so those who play the most and use boosters will come out on top. However, we will try different methods including those unaffected by boosters, or premium, later on. Please consider this a test season in this regards, as we plan to use other metrics in the future, not necessarily boostable by anything other than the number of games played. Importantly, the biggest reward of this season for the top 1% of The leaderboard is 2,500 units of steel, which you can either stockpile over several updates to go for USS Missouri, 30,000 steel, or use to get some intermediate goods, such as commander items. The basic rules are, arena battles are going to be available from February 15th to March 9th. There are 4 teams on the map, with each comprising 3 Tier 5 ships. If a team's ship or ships are the last to stay afloat, then that team wins and each of the players on the team gets plus 30% XP for the match. The matchmaker will try to mirror the ship types of all 4 teams, but will allow for non-mirrored compositions after particular thresholds. There are no ship type limitations per team or per division. However, the less diverse your team is, the longer it would take to find a match, for example, for 3 destroyer or 3 battleship divisions. There's only one key area on each map, in the very center. This mode features friendly fire. If you hit an ally, 33% of the damage will be applied to their ship. Ramming is not, however, affected by friendly fire. Players who fire at their allies will not receive any XP for the battle, so we ask you to be extra careful, especially with torpedoes. We understand that players might damage their allies by mistake, but serial griefers will be dealt with accordingly. If there are ships from more than one team still afloat at the end of the match, said match is considered a draw and no team receives the 30% bonus. Maps available in the first season of Arena, Ring, Strait, and New Dawn. Rewards are credited once the season is over. The exact reward you receive will depend on your standing on the ladder at the moment the season ends. There are 6 tiers of rewards, depending on which percentile of the ladder you end up occupying. Lunar New Year content. To commemorate the Lunar New Year celebrations, the home port will be set to a themed haven and special content will be offered in the store. You'll get a choice of 2 ships and a special container, combined in different bundles. This content will become available in the premium store on February 12, and we'll announce the end date for sales separately. You can expect the following content: Lunar New Year crates, containing such goods as the Air Dragon and Fire Dragon, disposable camos. The Ox personal patch and a similar flag is available in one of the bundles. Balance changes. There are only a few balance touch-ups this time, but all of them were really called for. You'll be the ultimate judge of that, of course. Cheshire rudder shift time decreased from 13.76 to 11.76 seconds. Main battery reload time reduced from 17 to 16 seconds. Repair party modified, it now restores the same amount of HP but over 9.3 seconds instead of 27. Cossack. Main battery reload time reduced from 5 to 4.5 seconds. Torpedo reload time reduced from 96 to 72 seconds. Charlemagne. Main battery reload decreased from 13 to 12 seconds. Extremity armor improved from 16 to 25 millimeters. Vanguard. HP restored to Citadel by repair party increased from 16% to 25%. Shell grouping improved by about 2.6%, and in so many words, it's just a slight buff to the accuracy. Repair party modified, it now restores the same amount of HP but over 10 seconds instead of 28. Duke of York. Base number of charges for sonar increased from 1 to 2. There are also a couple of changes to skills and consumables, namely, the Fight Fire with Fire skill now works if damage control party is either on cooldown or depleted previously. The skill couldn't be activated when the consumable charges were depleted. The enhanced secondary targeting consumable available on battleships now has 3 charges by default up from 2, and its cooldown has been lowered by 20 seconds to 160 seconds instead of 180. Server maintenance is scheduled to take place on February 1st, after which the update will be pushed to the consoles. Maintenance times are 7 through 10 AM, UTC. Update size is 2900 MB on Xbox and 2800 megabytes on PlayStation. That is all the news from this update. Link to the full patch notes in the description. Thanks for watching, and good luck and fair seas.